This is Politics Tonight. Thank you very much for staying with us. And I still have with me a chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Alwal Hassan, tonight to discussing the task ahead of the new administration to fix Nigeria. All right, Mr. Hassan, let's talk about fuel subsidy removal, which caused some stir for the administration. What buffers do you think the government needs to come up with to stabilize things?
You see, I have a contrary view to.
Did you get my question?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. So I'm talking about fuel subsidy removal, which caused some stir for the administration. What buffers do you think the government needs to come up with to stabilize things?
In as much as the government needs to cushion the effect, has to come up with a policy to cushion the effect. I am of the contrary view to the effect, and I think the best thing to do is for Nigerians to try and live within their means. When you look at let's do class by class. When you look at my class of people, my friends, usually you see a lot of us having 2-3 cars that we don't need. You can only drive one car, and you feel it because you feel it cheap. You buy 3. We need to just cut luxuries. We need to be serious in what we do. I've had a lot of friends of mine two weeks ago saying they have to sell one of their cars because they can't afford fueling it. And of course, it means the government has been subsidizing their highlights, So there is need for a lot of Nigerians to just live within your means and make sure everybody doesn't have to have a car. It's not everybody that must have a car in Nigeria. But where the government comes in is providing public transportation, improving on public transportation. That rolls down to state governments, federal government, of course, on its own for the civil servants to cushion the effect. Then, of course, some states like Kwara have taken on reducing the hours of works for civil servants. And maybe when the funding comes in, providing public transportation would also cushion the effect of this. But the major thing to do here is for Nigerians to accept it and square down to living within our means.
All right, Mr.
We just can't afford it. We just can't afford it. The country doesn't have money to be subsidizing. I will give you an example. If we were selling fuel at 195 naira, while the government buys it at 445 naira landing cost, or maybe 500 landing cost, then it breaks it down to 195. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense at all.
All right, so based on what you just said, I mean, the government agreed that some palliatives should be provided for the citizens. Are you saying these are not needed?
Yes, you see that palliative they're talking about, the $800 million loan. I'm not sure. I'm not sure we should collect 800 million naira loan to give 50 million people 5,000 naira today. My sister, and who gives them next tomorrow? You're not going to cut down the fuel price. It's still going to be there. So when you give 50 million people 5,000 naira, what cushion effect have you done between now to next tomorrow? What will happen to them next tomorrow? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense for me, and I don't think it does for a lot of people that will look at it this way. You borrow Nigeria, the country is already in debt, So we'll now have to borrow another $800 million. And in that $800 million, mind you, $21 million goes to the consultants that are getting this loan for us. It does not make sense. We just need to come down and face reality. Nigerians need to face reality with the realities of our time. Our government cannot afford the subsidy of PMS. It has subsidized, and it can no longer do that because there is no money to do that. Everybody needs to just level down to his level, Live within your means. This is my take on this.
All right, but organized labor are also asking for minimum wage increase just to cushion the effect of this removal. Are you saying this is also not needed?
Yes, if you talk about increasing minimum wage, you're talking about increasing salaries for civil servants. Do you know there are departments in the civil service? In fact, when you're doing reforms, when you're doing administrative restructuring, you need to reduce those civil servants. There are departments in our civil service that have 3 drivers but doesn't have a vital. There are departments that have 15 auditors in audit department, a job that just 1 or 2 people do. So it does not make sense. If you want to increase salary, you have to cut down, because that is another subsidy the government is paying the civil service. We all were here when the COVID happens, when the COVID strike. We knew it took almost 3 years. Yeah, I think maybe less than 15% of the civil service were doing the job. The rest were at home and they were paid salary. It does not, we need to look at all these things well. Nigerians need to brace up. We have a firm and decisive president that means well for this country. We need to help him. We need to cut down on all the things we do. Our civil service is bloated. We need to, if there is going to be an increase in salary, there should also be a downsize of the civil service because it's bloated.
All right, so another challenge facing the country is rising debt. What do you think this new administration needs to do to reduce this burden?
Yeah. You see. I don't see anything about collecting loans if they are being put into infrastructures. If you collect loan and build infrastructures, it's okay. Every country in the world lives on loan. We cannot generate finance we would use on our infrastructure. So it's okay if we have a good government, if we have committed government. Transparency and accountability is key. Once we have a government that will be accountable to whatever it has borrowed, it's okay. Borrow and build our infrastructure. I'm fine with that.
All right. So before we get on, let's quickly talk about this. A new set of leaders have emerged for the 10th National Assembly. What sort of working relationship do you expect from the legislature and executive for further, or rather for effective national development?
There has to be a synergy between the National Assembly and the executive. At all, we want to move fast as a country. We have a president that is about go fast. So we need a National Assembly that is also going to be a bit faster than the previous assembly. We need synergy. We need a National Assembly that is thorough. We need a National Assembly that delivers on its mandate.
All right. So, I mean, you're from the Northwest, and the governors from that zone have called on the administration to tackle insecurity head on to improve agriculture. I would like you to react to that.
It's very important. It's very important that the new service chief should hit the ground running, just as the president has done. They need to hit the ground running and make sure forests are being secured for people to go to farm. It's very important, and it increases or reduces when the insecurity is high. It reduces the livelihood of majority of Nigerians.
All right, quickly, Mr. Hassan, before I let you go, let me take you up on your submission on no palliatives for the citizen. I mean, when it comes to making sacrifices for the survival of the economy, it's evident that ordinary Nigerians have adjusted and readjusted just to contribute their quota to national development. But a lot of time, the missing link has been the contribution of the leadership to nation building. At this point, what do you think leadership at all levels needs to forgo?
Sincerity of hope. Sincerity of focus. You need to be accountable to Nigerians. You need to be accountable to the people. Once there is sincerity of focus and a will and a firm will to deliver on the mandate you are voted in for, Nigerians are very easy people. Let me tell you, a lot of people that campaigned against us, a lot of people that didn't want or didn't vote for President Ashwaju are now loving him. Why? Because of simple decisions he has taken that are bringing in effective outcomes. So we need a firm and decisive leaders, just as our president is. We need people around him that will encourage him and make sure he delivers on the renewed hope mandate.
All right. As we're speaking with an APC chieftain, Awal Hassan, and tonight we focused on the task before the new administration, especially on fixing Nigeria. Thank you very much, Mr. Hassan, for your contribution on the program today. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for watching. That marks the end of today's episode of Politics Tonight. But the conversation continues from here. Get in touch with us on Twitter at TVC News NG and at Olajumoke or using the hashtag Politics Tonight. We are also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. I am Olajumoke Olatiji. Goodbye.